So they'll basically give you a sentence like this, or they'll refer to a sentence. So in the question it says in line 2 or line 3, whatever it is, and they'll ask what literary technique did the author use, or what literary device, or basically what did the author do, and they'll give you examples of the ones that they want you to pick out of, right? So in this one it says Usain Bolt, the Jamaican sprinter, runs like a cheetah, the fastest land animal on record. So you could break down the sentence if you want, right? Usain Bolt, this is a positive. If you haven't learned what positives are by now, you can look into other videos, right? Usain Bolt runs like a cheetah. And the hint right away over here is like. He runs like a cheetah. And which one of the literary devices can you pick out of this? Is it irony, something that's, ironic? Would be, I don't want to say contrasting. Well, it's the opposite of what you would expect, right? And I have a separate lesson on irony versus paradoxes. Is it a simile, which is the answer, right? Because it uses like or as, right? What is a personification, right? Personification is, well, there's the word person there, and fact, and phi, the suffix means make, and shun means noun, right? So personification means give human characteristics to things that aren't human, right? But we're not giving the characteristic. We're kind of comparing how fast, or not comparing with the cheetah. We're saying Usain Bolt's really, really fast, and he's like fast as a cheetah, right? So we're giving some kind of comparison, but we're not directly comparing to the cheetah. Figurative statement. Figurative statement would be something that's not literal, right? Something that's not literal. And the tricky part is the difference between B and D, right? That's what's tricky, because figurative statement is something that's not real. It's kind of hypothetical, right? So the answer could be B or D, but probably the better answer, right? The better answer would be simile, because they're giving you something like or as, right? But if they don't give you simile as an answer over here, it's probably best to pick D. And sometimes they'll do this. Sometimes you'll see like or as, right, in the question, but you're going to immediately look for simile, but it's not there. So it'll probably be a figurative statement. And there are questions like this on the SATs and ACTs, right? And it can't be E, paradox, because it's basically something very, very similar to an irony, except it's a little bit different. I'll explain that in a different video. So now let's look at the difference between the two sentences, right? We just had this one with like or as, right? Which is, we established that it's a simile, right? Like or as. What about this one? Usain Bolt, the Jamaican sprinter, is a cheetah, right? Is a cheetah. He is not a cheetah, right? That would be a hyperbole, right? That would be a, overstatement, or those kind of other literary devices that they would ask you about. But usually if they do something like he is something, it's what? You probably already know. It's a metaphor, right? It's a metaphor. And the difference between metaphor and simile simply is what? All it does is it uses the word is. It is this or it is that, right? That's probably the difference that you need to note the most, right? When you are trying to learn the difference between metaphor and simile.